here. And at 3:05 with DK, Judy, Karen, Rebecca, Jason, and Amy present, we will officially bring to order the November 16th, 2022 Midway-Pacific Highway Community Planning Group meeting. It's such a mouthful, but we got it. So let's jump straight into approval of the minutes. I sent around some minutes from June and from October. I think we should probably take those separately because I believe we maybe had different folks in attendance for each of those. So if everyone's had a chance to review the June 22 minutes, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
I have a quick question about that.
Sorry?
DK, okay, for June, I was only here for half the meeting. Should I abstain from voting or what? Because I mean,
I think because frankly,
well, I can tell you that for the airport noise committee, they just, even if you don't attend the meeting, if you
still approve,
they allow people to vote. So I don't know if they're following a particular rule other than ours. I don't know. But if you're not at the meeting, how do you know for sure? You know what was.
That's a fair point. Amy, did you have a question? Maybe not. I think we can go ahead and move forward, Judy, with counting your vote. I mean, these meetings are recorded, they're on YouTube. I think if anyone needs to fact check us, do that as well. So unless anyone has any suggested edits or amendments to the June 22 minutes, I will go ahead and motion to approve those. Can I grab a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor? Judy?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
There we go. Amy?
Aye.
Thank you. And that's everyone. Cool. So those
Sorry,
are
was that Karen or Rebecca that seconded?
Aye. Oh yeah, I seconded.
Rebecca with the second. And then unanimous approval with all board members in attendance. And then again for October, if any suggested edits, amendments, changes.
Nope.
No, Jason is doing a great job with the minutes. Thank you so much, Jason.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I try to keep them concise if I can.
Hey, they're good. They're really great. And I appreciate it. I know we all do. Thank you.
Yeah. So with that being said, I'll motion to approve October minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you, Judy with the second. All in favor, Judy?
Aye, yes.
There we go. Karen?
I was not present in October, so I'll abstain.
Okay, we'll allow it. Thank you. Rebecca?
Aye.
Okay, Amy?
Aye.
All right, Jason?
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye as well, so that carries. Moving on, non-agenda public comment will open the floor. Now is the time for anyone who has a question or comment that is not pertaining to the items on today's agenda, but do pertain to the jurisdiction of this body. Becky Rapp, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Becky Rapp, and
sorry about
okay.
that.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, please do. Sorry.
I'm a San Diego resident and a public health educator, and I am concerned with the city's efforts in changing the municipal code surrounding marijuana ordinance. And recently, the marijuana social equity plan was created and presented to the city council. The city will now offer opportunities for permits to those who meet certain criteria, such as income and prior conviction. I bring this up as my concern lies with the number of available permits. Out of 36 total permits available, 4 per council district, there are only a few available opportunities to apply. The staff report presented to City Council states the intent is to allow more permits to be utilized by equity applicants. So in order for this to take place, the cap would have to be lifted and the city would need to allow for more pot shops. Although a socially equitable program is important, It should not mean that the cap on marijuana dispensaries should be lifted. So I believe this will create inequalities in communities, as it potentially will open the door for higher concentration of marijuana storefronts in communities and neighborhoods that already are negatively impacted by the industry. I do believe that it's crucial that the city uphold its promise to residents to maintain that cap of 4 per council district, and would suggest that writing to the city, contacting your city officials would be beneficial, letting them know how this could directly impact this community, Midway. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Becky. Anyone else with non-agenda public comment today? And seeing no hands. Actually, Mike, yeah, Mike, welcome. Hello.
Hi, thanks. This is the first time I've joined a meeting like this. I own a home at the end of Myrtle Avenue, the section between Fairmont Avenue and Shimon. I reached out to the city engineering department to find plans about the repaving, any plans for repaving in that street, because it's in really bad shape. It's been in bad shape for the 5 years that I've lived in that area. And I know we've done a lot of sewer and water rehab and a lot of repaving in the area, and it seems to be the only street that, as far as I can tell, has no plans to be repaved. So I was trying to figure out how I can raise that issue and find out if there are, in fact, plans to repave that street.
Yeah, thank you. Typically, non-agenda comment does not elicit conversation, but I did see your email. I'll continue to engage with you on that subject there. I don't see Nancy here today from the planning department, but if that changes out, we'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else with non-agenda comment? Going once, going twice. And with no other hands that I see, we will go ahead and move into government reports. It looks real thin today as far as our government reports goes. I don't see Kohta from the mayor's office. I know that Makana is tied up in committee, but he'll be joining us later from District 2. I don't see Nancy or Officer Surwilo. LisaJones from the Housing Commission. I also don't see you.
I'm sorry, I'm Casey Snow. I'm here on behalf of LisaJones.
Hi, Casey. Hello.
Hi.
Oh.
Am I okay to give my report then? Or sorry.
Sorry, yeah, the floor is all yours. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. I know Lisa generally tends to provide updates on the Rosecrans shelter and the harm reduction shelter. So I can share for the harm reduction shelter that as previous months, we are full. I think we're at 43 out of 44 beds. So that shelter has been operating with little issue. For Rosecrans shelter, since we opened on September 12th, of the 345 people that have been brought into the shelter, 241 are from our Midway residents. So we're at 70% of all individuals that are residing at the shelter are from the Midway district, which is really great. So that's all I have to share, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, sorry, could you just repeat that number figure again? You said out of the how many?
Out of the 345 folks that have entered the shelter since September 12th, 241 are from the Midway district area, what have you. So 70% of individuals residing there resided on the streets of the Midway area.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the capacity at that shelter is 145,
150.
Okay,
Yeah, and we are currently full right now.
Okay, so you've clearly seen people come and then ultimately exit.
That's very common. Yes.
And I guess, do we know if they're just exiting back onto the streets, or they're exiting into like services and programs and like?
I don't have that statistic, but it's a little bit of everything. Some have exited into housing. I can definitely share that feedback and have that for next time to show, now that we're in, I think, month 3 of operations, where folks are exiting. But it is common for folks, especially if they haven't been in shelter for a very long time, to kind of get their feet wet and come back at certain times. So this is not necessarily unduplicated, but some of it could be terminations because of behavioral issues. It's a combination of a few different things, or they could be moving on to other longer term transitional housing, different programs. But I can let Lisa know to add that to her report for next month to include kind of where folks are exiting.
Yeah, yes, please. I
Okay.
would love that. That's something that we're keenly sharp on. I see.
Absolutely. We can definitely include that update.
Go for it. Yeah, Judy, we'll go to you first, then Margaret.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that ditto on DK's request. I think that's something we would want to know every month.
Okay.
Not as a special request, if you could let Lisa know, it's a, so that we know what's going on and where
Okay.
people are going, how many people are coming back in, and any security issues that are happening. I mean, we want full transparency so that we're aware of what's going on. But thank you.
Sure. Absolutely. It's not a problem.
Thank you, Judy. Margaret, welcome. Hello. Come on down.
Thank you, DK. I think this information is super important for not just the Midway district, but also the peninsula for residents who frequent Midway. Is there any way that you can provide us the stats and information that we can share on the Peninsula Community Planning Board? And in return, also communicate to the neighbors and on the peninsula, those numbers and those totals? I can connect privately with you to give you the point of contact. But one question I have is, how do you know that they are from the Midway district?
So it's actually not something that is tracked in the data reporting system. So there's no way they track where folks slept the night before, but not what area they slept in. So what we've done at the request of this planning group is that we are tracking this manually for, since all referrals into shelter are done through the coordinated shelter program. So all requests for a bed come to one place. So if somebody is placed in the Rosecrans shelter, we're requesting where they're coming from. So we're doing an actual unique exercise that we don't do for any of the other shelters, so we can provide this data to you. So this is actually being tracked by my coordinated intake teams. So they're asking the outreach worker who's making the referral, since all referrals have to come through outreach workers that are working with persons on the street. They are stating where they are at that point in time with that person. I'm here on this such and such street, and we know it's within the region.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, Lisa's been great with us. She's been coming. I think this might be the first meeting she's missed actually in a year.
Yeah.
I'm glad that she's been able to send an associate on her behalf. But yeah, we know that the stats that we ask for are not standard in your reporting system. So
right.
She's kind of made a process of it. But yeah, Judy, go ahead quickly.
Yeah, actually, I think it would be of interest to all of the planning groups, in particular those around us. But it does make me curious how the shelter and the flow compares to other areas. And the reason is because we're all, people who live down here are very aware. I've been aware of it since I've moved here. Mm-hmm. And people who have spoken to me about it are always make the comment, almost always make the comment, gee, whenever there's something downtown or a big event somewhere else, our population rises. We would like to keep a tab on that. And I think it's a worthwhile, I mean, to just know that they slept here the night before they went in the shelter. It would be an interesting, not just, I mean, I say interesting, but it would be useful, I believe, to track the, outcomes and the effectiveness of all of these efforts that, keep being made to limit and minimize and fix and resolve this issue. I know it's always going to be an issue here, but we would like to minimize it and have just a few people on the street, not hundreds. So, but I would just say, ask Lisa if we could, to consider that, because those kind of data points could become very valuable too, to the city and to other agencies, to the nonprofits, where they need to focus their energies at different times of the year in particular. But thank you for the work you're doing.
Of course. And I actually want to share, I just pulled up our weekly report. It doesn't list everything you're asking, but what I can share with you what I do have on hand. I'm showing that obviously the shelter has only been open since September 12th. So we're looking at basically 2 months of operations, right? And it shows me that we've had 130. It's a little off because this is this is through November 11th, so it doesn't include the few folks that have exited last week, but we've had 130 folks exit. 12 of them have gone into permanent housing, which is great actually for just only 2 months of being open. That's really great, especially as scarce as housing resources are at this point in time. Like I can show, for example, I see in my report that 19 people exited last week. So, but in the reporting that we can, I can provide Lisa before she attends these meetings, I can get into the granular of all the exits. Right now, I just happen to have those that exited to housing, but we can find out where the other folks have gone.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. We'll look into that. And yeah, we can definitely connect with Lisa after the fact. So thank you.
Yep, of course.
Moving on, I don't see anyone from the Airport Authority. Rebecca Smith from the District 3 Supervisorial Office. She sent in a written report earlier today. I just forwarded it to the board, but it basically touches on opioid settlement, fentanyl youth education, and flu shots. So if anyone has any questions, you can always contact Rebecca Smith. I'll throw her name and contact in the chat. Moving on, I don't see Cole Reed from State Senator Toni Atkins' office. Neither do I see Miki Holmes or Keo or Margaret, but I did see Muska come in. Muska, are you still here with us?
I am here. Thank you.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome back.
I do have a quick update, actually. So as of yesterday, the Navy has issued a request for qualification / proposal to begin the competitive solicitation process to identify a potential master developer for the revitalization of the Naval Old Town campus. The solicitation is available on sam.gov, and I can leave a exact link to that, so you can easily find that. A pre-proposal conference for those interested proposers will also be held on December 7th, and the deadline to register for that is December 2nd. So for those who registered, you can definitely come to this event and bring any questions you have, and it's mostly geared towards the potential developers that may want to ask some specific questions. And again, as always, more information on the process, on the solicitation process, and the latest update for the project is available on the project website. And again, I can leave that link as well. So just to go over some of the key dates, the solicitation was released yesterday, and the deadline for proposals to submit questions that they want for the Navy to address during the pre-proposal conference is November 30th. So that's when they can submit any questions they may have. And on December 7th, when we do have the pre-proposal conference, we will address those questions. And at the end, the deadline for proposal to submit the questions for the actual solicitation is January 24th. And the deadline for proposal to submit statement of qualification, basically the final step for them, is February 7, 2023. So by February 7, they will be able to submit their statement of qualification, and then the Navy takes all that information that we receive, we determine which of the developers are qualified, and from there we go to the selection process for the actual RFP. So those are some dates that are coming up. I know it's a lot of information, so again, do go to the project website. All this is all laid out. And for those who have signed up for text or emails, you probably have seen this already because the information did go out yesterday, but I will also leave this information in chat. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Muska. Yeah, we had Greg and Captain Franklin here last month to kind of give us a high-level overview of what we can expect. Did not know when we would expect it, so I was pleasantly surprised to see that update in my inbox yesterday. But we know where to find you. Obviously, my forever question when it comes to this subject is, can you talk to us about opportunities for public engagement? I see that there's this form for developers specifically, but for those of us who live, work, play in the area? Where do we fit in?
Once we do get the developers, the proposals there, that's just the beginning of the step. So, any proposal, just like, you have seen it with your other projects, before that proposal is finalized, there are opportunities for the public to look at that product and provide comments. So the exact dates, again, we don't know because it's very premature, but we will have those opportunities before everything gets finalized. So all I can say at this point that the community will have opportunities to provide more feedback to the Navy, and then I'm guessing at some point also to the developers, but that is still coming.
Okay. Yeah, no, we certainly appreciate that opportunity. Obviously, the more specificity, the better, but we recognize where you are in your timeline. So if anyone else has any questions for Muska, now's a great time, but I'm content for the moment. And hearing none, thank you, Muska.
Thank you.
I did see Miki just drop in though. Hello, Miki Holmes from Assemblymember Chris Ward's office. Welcome to the.
Hello.
No, okay, there you go.
Hi.
I was like, how
Hello.
Welcome. How are you?
Hi. Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm in the airport, so if you hear some stuff in the background, apologies. But I wanted to come on and thank you all for all your support over the years. The district lines are changing, so Assemblymember Ward will no longer be a representative. So I just wanted to come on, say thank you, as well as let you know that we're still here for you. If you need any help with ABC, EDD, any of that stuff, please still feel free to reach out to us while everything is transitioning. In addition to that, Assemblymember Ward has been in the district. He's currently in Japan on a legislative trip, but he'll be back soon. So if you would like to meet with him, you can do that through our website. You can press the scheduling request button. And if you have anything you'd like to bring up legislatively or just want to chat with him, you can do that through our website. But mostly just wanted to come on and say thank you for all your support. And I will definitely be working with our predecessor to make sure they know about the important issues for your area.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miki. It's been a pleasure having you represent the Assemblymember for the last, year now, year and a half, however long it's been. Time flies. So yeah, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss the Assemblymember, but it's Tasha Borner-Horvath now, right? That's our representative?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Current election results are saying it'll be Tasha Borner-Horvath.
Got you. And so do you have any idea who that staff representative might be in your office, or is it too soon?
I don't yet, but I will definitely be connecting with them.
No worries. Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Anyone
Of course.
have other questions for Miki? All right, cool.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And I don't see Jim here today, so that will actually bring our government reports section to a close. Judy, I had mentioned maybe talking about the ANAC update, and I think that can come maybe further down in new business, old business. I'm not sure exactly where it fits, but if you're around for the rest of it, we can chat about that then. But with no further ado, I think we can move into our first information discussion item of the day. So we typically go dark in December. So I'm looking at today as our last meeting of 2022. And I wanted to kind of reflect a little bit, kind of get a status update and level the set with respect to where we stand. And then ultimately start to look at 2023 and as a board, start identifying our priorities and what we want to then now go focus on. So there's a couple just data points I want to hit briefly, and then I'll turn it over for questions, comments. Obviously, the election was last week. We're all still watching results on a day-to-day basis. Measure C is probably the one thing on the ballot that meant the most to this specific group. And so at the moment, it's looking like it's on track to pass. It was a little dicey there for a second. But ultimately, as of Monday, we being the yes position, was up by about 8,300 votes, about 51%, 51.1% of the overall vote. There'll be another update like late today, probably right as this meeting is ending, about 5 o'clock. And I expect to see that lead continue to grow based off the trend of the last few days. One other update from the election is that our District 2 representative, Jen Campbell, also looks to have been comfortably reelected. She's up, almost 60%. And so I don't see that changing. And so when the registrar of voters certifies this election result, I believe it's up to no later than 30 days from November 8th. We're looking to see both the municipal code be changed by virtue of Measure C, and also Dr. Jen stay in this District 2 seat. Some of the other big things that we spent time on this year, obviously the sports arena redevelopment process, saga, is how it feels at this point. You know, this time last year, we didn't know who was going to submit on this whole redo of the surplus land version of sports arena. And obviously over the course of this year, we've whittled down from 7 to 5 to 3, and now we've got the one group, Midway Rising. They came to this board in June, actually. So if you reviewed the minutes or watched the video on YouTube, you'll remember that they kind of gave us a look at what their project is proposing. In early September, they were selected by the city council to be the lone sort of bidder in this process. And so that really just means that for the next 2 years, that development group will move forward with negotiations with the city. I see Shelby Jordan actually from Midway Rising is here with us. Hello, Shelby, thank you for being here. And then outside of that, we can maybe get to Shelby in just a moment if he has any comments. I just wanted to also flag that one of the other big things that happened in 2022 that really does impact community planning groups was the reforms brought on by the District 1 office. Joe LaCava passed updates, amendments to both Council Policy 600-24, which specifically governs community planning groups, and also 600-9, which governs the CPC. And so by virtue of that, I think one of the, outcomes is that all planning groups will need to eventually resubmit their bylaws to the city for approval and recognition. We currently have that recognition, but as a function of this legislation passing, we'll need to resubmit our bylaws. And so I mentioned this last month. I circulated the bylaws with the agenda this month. I think that we have an opportunity to potentially look and evaluate and see if we want to keep our bylaws as is, or if not, if we want to potentially spend some time next year revising or somehow amending. And so with that, that's sort of my recap of 2022. Like I said, I do see Shelby here, and Shelby, I'd love to invite you to kind of just take the floor and maybe give, for some of the folks who maybe haven't met you, a brief introduction to yourself, to the project team, and maybe if you can give us 2, 3, 4 months out of what you expect to be working on over these next few months.
Certainly. DK, first and foremost, thanks for having me and allowing me to speak. Hello to some of you that met before back in June. Look forward to continuing a dialogue with you. My name is Shelby Jordan with the Midway Rising team. The group I represent is Legends. We're a sports and entertainment hospitality provider. Our group is primarily focused on the arena components and the entertainment district components, but again, we are partnered with Zephyr and with Chelsea on the entire development. So we're one holistic team. To DK's point, just a little background. In September, we received approval from Land Use and Housing Committee and the City Council to proceed into an exclusive negotiation agreement with the city to redevelop the sports arena site, the 48 acres. Where we are currently right now is in the process of working out that agreement with the city, as well as the license agreement, which gives us the ability to access the site and start due diligence. What the next 2 to 3 to 4 months look like is once we have those agreements finalized, we'll be going back in front of City Council in December to provide updates. We'll start site due diligence, which includes geotechnical, structural, environmental studies that will last for approximately about 180 days. Thereafter, we'll be refining our development plan, continuing to work with the Department of Real Estate, and then presenting that information back to council, as well as hopefully kicking off the CEQA process. Simultaneously to that, we'll be out in the community. Not only will we be having quarterly meetings with council, but we'll look to engage the community in various meetings throughout the region, as well as forming a community advisory council, where we're bringing in local community stakeholder groups to help better inform us as to how our development needs to progress, the various community benefits that need to be included within such. So next couple of months, a lot of rolling up the sleeves with consultants and doing due diligence, not only the on-site, but also off-site due diligence, beginning to do further traffic and transportation studies and engaging with consultants there, as well as regional authorities. So a lot of work for us to do, a lot of rolling up the sleeves. We're really excited. We're grateful to have the opportunity to move forward with this potential development, but we do have a long road ahead of us and a lot of work to do.
Thank you. That was a succinct update. Tom, I see your hand is up, and we'll go to you next. But like I said, at this point, I just want to know this is open discussion. Like I said, I've kind of laid out a little bit of what happened in 2022. Would love to, Shelby, if you've got some time, if you're willing to take some questions, would love to have you help answer a few of those. Definitely. I think, like I said, we as a board, I'd love to come with some takeaways as far as what we as an organization would like to focus on in 23. So yeah, Tom, welcome. Hello. Uh-oh. Can anyone hear Tom?
No.
Tom, you might have a
No.
microphone issue. I don't hear you over there. Three minutes? Yeah, Tom, I'm sorry, we can't hear you, Tom. All right, maybe he's gonna log off and log back on. Other questions for Shelby while we have him, specifically as it pertains to the Midway Rising redevelopment. I see a question in the chat. What about environmental studies? I'm assuming that's directed at Shelby, Ann?
So I'll go ahead and just take a swing at that. So from an environmental standpoint, really multiple phases to this. There will be the on-site environmental studies that we'll do to ensure the current status of the site. But on a larger scale, the goal is by the beginning of next summer, call it around June, July, we are kicking off both the CEQA process and the update to the EIR, which will include the entire analysis of all the environmental impacts for the overall development. That process, we imagine, will take well over a year, but the goal is to get that underway by the beginning of next summer.
Next summer, okay. You had mentioned a community advisory group. Can you talk a little bit more about how that is being sort of drafted or constituted and what role the planning group might have in that operation?
Certainly. So what we want to be mindful of, we put together a comprehensive community benefits framework, not package, framework, I'll stress that, with our submittal to the city going back to December of last year. The goal of that framework is to build upon it, to engage with the community, to better understand the constituents, the local community groups, the needs that are there, needs related to not just housing, but also childcare, healthcare, how community groups want to see the overall development activated and how they might be able to participate. Our goal is coming out of the gate, engage maybe about a dozen different groups. We do understand that this will be an evolution over the next 2 years as we're working with the city and leading into the development process. The goal is to make the tent as wide as possible and bring as many people into the fold. But we really wanted to identify individuals that have been long-standing members of the community that are doing really good things out there and that have the time and want to put forth the effort at sitting at the table with us to help better address what some of the needs are. Again, we don't want to do it in a vacuum. We don't want to go and just show up and say, here's what we think the community needs. We want to listen. We really want to engage to develop a comprehensive community benefits agreement off of the framework that we've established. And as far as the planning group's involvement, it'd be fantastic. DK, I think we can talk more about this, but I think making sure your group has a seat at the table, you've carried the torch for a considerable amount of time. I think not just coming to you for updates with your monthly meetings or having you come to community meetings, if we can take it a step further and figure out how your organization can be engaged, that would be fantastic.
Awesome, thank you. That's much appreciated. When I was referring to our bylaws earlier, one thing that I've noticed when I've reviewed our bylaws as a planning group here, we don't have any standing subcommittees. And so by virtue of that, we only really convene as a body once per month. But, a lot of other groups across the city, they have, traffic or transportation subcommittee or project review committee. One of the ideas that I've had is to potentially include for some of those. We have the capacity to do an ad hoc committee right now. We might go in that direction and, spend some time as an ad hoc committee, really evaluating the community impacts or the community priorities and concerns or what have you as it pertains to sports arena. So that's an ongoing conversation, but I do want to put that out there. I've mentioned it here at this group before, and I think that's something that makes a lot of sense for us.
Perfect. Saw a couple other questions in the chat to further answer Ann's question regarding the study for environmental for our project. We have not yet selected that consultant. It's going to be based off of us kind of getting through this first